All right, so let's talk about narcissism and people that struggle with narcissism and the concept of death or of losing a loved one or losing someone that's related to them or around them or a friend or something like that. Like, how do they react? Like, what actually goes through their mind? Like, what's actually the mental process that they go through? If you guys are new on here, my name is Ben Taylor, Raw Motivations. If you don't follow me, go ahead and follow me or subscribe here on my channel, or follow me on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I would love to be able to interact with you guys more. So I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple Podcasts. You might be tuning in right now. If you are, please rate this. Let me know how I'm doing, because I'm trying to always improve, trying to always grow. If you don't know anything about my channel, I'm on here to provide awareness about narcissism and provide an opportunity to help grow, heal, and change other people out there. And so really I interact with two different types of people mainly. Interact with narcissists, so people that struggle with narcissism or have narcissistic traits. Try to get them to the place where they understand that they're lying, and they need to learn to be honest about that. They need to get into consistent therapy. They need to start working on growing and developing themselves if they want to change, get out of the cycle, and to stop being an abuser. I also work with people who have suffered from narcissistic abuse, who've been in that narcissistic household, either growing up in it or have lived through the turmoil of being married or in a relationship with a narcissistic spouse, and how that's affected them, how that's damaged them, how that's damaged the people around them, and how that's hurt them. And so a lot of times I'm working with them to try to build up them, to be able to build up a healthy relationship moving forward of how do I grow myself, how do I become a better person, how do I break free of the trauma bond and the false reality that the narcissist has trapped and encased me in. That's why I'm on here. So feel free to like, listen, follow, subscribe, whatever. Appreciate it. So today we're talking about narcissism and how they react to someone who dies. Maybe you've been around a narcissist or have interacted with one, and you've seen either a family member, a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, or a close friend that's passed away. And you kind of like watch them, or you wonder like what's actually going through their mind, like what's actually going through their head, because you might see them typically have like no emotion. And then you wonder like, wait a second, like they have no emotion to their grandma passing away, but they just cried when the dog got run over. It's very different. It's very disconnected a lot of times for narcissists of how they process things. So you have to remember, like at the core of narcissism, you have shame, you have rage, you have all these different things that automatically come back to a place where they want supply. They want people and they want things that put the attention on them. That can be positive attention, that could be negative attention, whatever it might be. When you're dealing with someone who's had a relative or a close family member that's passed away, all of a sudden in their mind, those people no longer matter. Now, part of it is because they probably didn't matter to the narcissist to start off with, because a narcissist only cares about the people that affect them, the people that help them feel better about themselves, that upgrade their ego, that upgrade their image, that make them feel and look like a better human to everybody else out there. So as a result, they probably don't care about the person to start off with. Second of all, if they did care about the person, or they had a relationship, or they were close or something like that, you might see them not react. You might see them not cry. You might see them not show that type of emotion. It could be a couple different things. One, it could be that they aren't tapped into that emotion. It hasn't hit them, and maybe it'll hit them later and they'll process it in private because they wouldn't show anybody that weakness, that sign of emotion, that sign of that they might be feeling something, because they want to cut that out. Other times they won't show that type of emotion because they don't have that type of emotion. They don't have that feeling for that person because, again, they might not have cared about that person to start off with. Other times with narcissism, you have to keep in mind they're very much in the moment. This is why a narcissist can have an argument, can rage at you, can walk away, and can come back a couple minutes later and be completely normal, be completely fine, because it's already in the past. They've already moved past it. They've already blocked it out, disassociated it from their memory, so they can move on and continue to build the false reality that they're building. As a result, when they live in that state of just in the present, just in this reality, just in like living a life with no regrets, so I'm in the moment, that's all I think about. If someone passes, if someone dies, that moment's over. That person's gone. They can no longer be a supply. They can no longer be an attention. And in the moment, maybe that funeral, maybe that family gathering, maybe something like that is actually taking away from me. So as a narcissist, like when that happens, there's a thought process that goes through of like, okay, but like, why aren't people paying attention to me? And it's crazy because like, why should they be? Like, someone just died. We need to be there for the family. We need to be there showing empathy, showing kindness, showing sadness, like whatever it might be. And you have to remember the narcissist doesn't connect with those type of things. They don't bond over those type of things. They don't care about those type of things. So oftentimes you'll see it with death, with accomplishments at work, with accomplishments in relationships. You'll see it, check the box, next, and move on to the next thing. It's the same exact type of thing with death with a narcissist. As a lot of times they will just process it and move on very, very quickly because either they don't care about the person, or they care that they're not getting supply from that person, or they care that they're not being the center of attention anymore, or they just live in the moment and they're like, okay, they're gone, next. Because a lot of times narcissists are looking at people as objects. They're looking at people as things. So you take that object and you remove it from the equation, it no longer exists. This is why a lot of times narcissists have a struggle relating with any types of empathy, any types of feeling, any types of different like mental things that people are struggling with, like anxiety or depression or fear or different things like that. Because in their minds, if it doesn't exist in their reality, it doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. They don't care. And oftentimes that spills out into the relationships where they don't care for those people. They don't care for those interactions with others. They don't care with how they communicate, how they respond, how they interact, how they emote, however it might be, they don't care. So as a result, when someone dies, when someone passes away that's close to a narc or in their family system or whatever it might be, they don't care. They just continue moving on, continue functioning just like normal because that's the next thing to do. They disassociate, they disconnect, they like just hide it, push it away, and move on. Now, a lot of times that doesn't mean they bring it back up later. A lot of times they don't even think about it a second time because it's literally in the past. It's gone. It's dealt with. And as a result, all they do is they look towards the next thing, the next development, the next person, the next supply, the next thing, because you have to remember it's very, very self-centered. It's very focused on myself, focused on my ego, focused on my image, focused on every actual thing about them except other people. So when someone experiences death, they typically won't cry, they typically won't shed a tear, they typically won't emote, they typically won't have those feelings and that engagement of sadness. They'll just move on. And they'll think, what's next? They'll think, why aren't people paying attention to me? They'll think, why do I even care? They'll think, they're gone, they're out of my life, moving on with my life. Narcissists oftentimes will disassociate and disconnect those realities because they view other people as objects and they just want to move on to the next person or the next thing.